Welcome, everybody, to another Las Vegas Raiders news review. My name is Jason Smith, aka The Knight, and tonight we are going right back to where we left off because I'm glad I skipped a night because a lot of things have come out. We're going to be talking a little bit about Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady, and then I want to get into some of the other quarterback options that are left on the table that I would like personally to see the Raiders go out and maybe try to do some combination of veteran slash draft one slash maybe trade for one, however that may line up as far as the organization sees it. But we'll get into a little bit more of that in a second. First, Stafford back to the Rams. Deja vu strikes again, right? I've heard a lot of different things being said over the course of today, and I don't necessarily agree with a lot that I hear. You know, I've heard that Tom Brady failed. Not once, twice. He's 0 for 2. I don't know. Are we keeping score over things that are out of his control? Is that what we're really doing? Because of somebody said this was going to be the Tom Brady effect. I mean, is what we come to? I mean, I know as a fan base, it's desperate times right now, but quite honestly, everything that's transpired, even after the Ben Johnson debacle, we are sitting in a really good place right now from a coaching standpoint. And again, on paper. Have we learned anything at this point as a fan base? I mean, we got to let things play out. We tend to get way too optimistic, way too fast, and expect way too much out of nothing or very little. So I'm just at a point where I don't want to buy into all the hype or buy into all the rumors. I said it in the last video. This is the time of year where rumors run rampant. We're going to hear all sorts of different things. And I think that there's two scenarios here that we have to consider. You know, number one, I don't think that Stafford was playing the Raiders. I believe that he was serious, whatever. But I mean, I'm sure the idea was, hey, Brady, like, sure, I'll come to Vegas and play. You willing to pay and trade? Yeah. You know, why would he say no? I mean, this is a guy that's going to be wanting to play football. He needs a job. But he probably was honest enough to say, hey, if the Rams come at me this way, though, I want to be a Ram. Brady's played this game. He knows the business side of it. He knows that he's just not Tom Brady's going to walk in and wave his Tom Brady wand and get what he wants. That's not how this works. And I know that Tom Brady understands that. But let's look at it from this standpoint. Tom Brady is doing things that we've been asking for a very long time, and that is to be involved in the right areas. Like, we need a quarterback. Whether, you know, you could argue and debate whether it's our number one need, which most of us believe that it is, or maybe we should focus in on really building a powerhouse defense. A lot of speculation about what we should do with that 6th overall pick. Should it be on a quarterback? Should we trade up? Compensation, all that stuff is something that we have to consider, whether, you know, we speculate on it as fans or this organization has to think about on every move. And I think that this week maybe possibly could have dodged a bullet. I'm not going to sit here and say dodge a bullet in the sense that Stafford's not that great. Hands down, Stafford would have made us more competitive in this division than any option that we have on the table right now, period. Stafford has not shown signs of aging. The guy has been dominant his whole career. His numbers are, yeah, he had a little bit of a down year. I don't buy into that Stafford's fading out. He was one play away from, you know, possibly having an opportunity to beat the Eagles in the playoffs. They won their division. They've earned the right to be there, even with him struggling. The guy can throw the football. The guy can play the position. So I'm saying we dodged a bullet in the sense of financial and compensation. Now we still have all of our money, which I have not heard. Maybe some people have talked about it. I'm not saying they haven't. I don't listen and hear everything. But we have all of our cap still. We're still in a very good position to sign our defensive players and find our quarterback for the future. Let's talk a little bit about what this possibly could mean. Now, this is interesting, right? If you look at the type of quarterback that Matthew Stafford is, and that Tom Brady did get involved, what is Tom Brady looking for? Because we know that Tom Brady is in charge of all this, right? First and foremost, there's a couple of things, interesting things to think of, right? Number one, is he really serious about using that 6th overall pick for a quarterback? I mean, if he's going after Matthew Stafford and willing to pay money, probably for a 2 to 3 year deal, I don't know. I mean, traditionally, you don't draft a quarterback from that high in the draft in the first round without expectations of him starting right away. Tom Brady's already been on record to say, I don't like my quarterbacks to start right away. Then you look at the style of play. The one that would fit the bill would be Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders, if drafted at number 6, would be expected to play. Now, you could definitely say, you're playing for Pete Carroll. The idea is to compete. You want to start? Compete. So it's not off the board, but it leads me to think that Brady is open to finding the solution elsewhere and not going in the first round for a quarterback, which also leads me to believe that he may just not even worry about that now, and maybe he's focusing in on a different type of player, in the second, third, or fourth round. So something just to think about, because that was going to be a pretty huge investment for a 2 or 3 year deal. Now, what I would like to do, because I want to kind of put that to bed. Look, at the end of the day, he's a Ram. Good news is we have all of our options open. We got a lot of money. We have all of our draft picks, and there's a bunch of free agents. But before I get into those free agents, I want to talk about something else I've been thinking about that's not really high on my list either, but it is options that are out there, and I want to kind of make sure that we talk a little bit about everything. So let's look at some of the quarterbacks. I picked 4 that we could possibly get to come in here to compete, not to start, but have been in the NFL for at least 1 year, young, talented, and maybe can fit with the Chip Kelly style of offense. Because again, I think that plays a big part in what the Raiders should be thinking. That doesn't mean that's what they're thinking, but it's something that I think that the Raiders should be keeping in mind. I'm going to start off with, how about Detroit's Hendon Hooker? Just as an option, right? Mobile, can run, throws pretty accurate. Chip Kelly could work with him. I find that to be pretty interesting. Going into the second phase. The second phase would be maybe a guy like J.J. McCarthy. If Sam Darnold does sign with the Vikings, reports have been talked about that, the Raiders may be interested in trading for J.J. McCarthy. I'm not fully against that. Again, I don't know if I want to go this route per se, but I wouldn't be mad if they did it. What kind of compensation really is what it comes down to for J.J. McCarthy coming off an injury for me. Also, you got Milton out of the Patriots. It's another guy, extremely athletic. I think he would fit with Chip Kelly. I know he played the last game of the season. He looked pretty decent. And again, I'm taking that with a grain of salt. And that's not why I'm bringing him up. He just fits that mold. He plays behind Drake May. It's a guy that's going to want an opportunity sooner than later. I don't think he's ready to call himself a career backup. He's going to want opportunity. So that one's interesting. The fourth one on my list has starting capabilities. He started for the Redskins for a while. He was backing up Geno Smith last year, and that's how. Now, that's a guy that Pete Carroll, obviously as a consultant, was around when they made that move. He would fit with Chip Kelly, in my opinion, as well. And that may be a possibility. Nothing's been said. I've heard nothing. I just wanted to throw some options out there of players that we could trade for. And I think those 4 fit the bill. My personal opinion, I wouldn't be pounding the table for any of those. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be mad if they did it, because it still opens the door for us to still draft one like a Howard in the second or third round. Come in, let them compete, and let them do their thing with Chip Kelly. But outside of that, I mean, is it something necessary that we have to do? It depends on the Raiders' game plan, especially as it pertains to the number 6 pick and how they want to build this thing out in the draft. So it's a possibility, not something I'm high on, but what do you guys think? Use the comment section down below to let me know, if the Raiders were to trade for one of those 4 quarterbacks, which one would you pick? And if you'd even want it. I mean, as for me, the answer is no. I really kind of wouldn't want that to be the route that we took. But if I had to pick and hope things fell the right way, it would be between J.J. McCarthy and then maybe Sam Howell, I believe is his full name, from the Seahawks. That's backing up Geno Smith. I think those 2 would be ideal fits in the situation we're looking for a quarterback that can play for Chip Kelly and also compete. All right, now let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of this situation here as we look at free agency a little bit. There's a lot of different options at free agency right now. I'm trying to stick with the combination of 4 in this situation as well. And I'm going to rank them in order, right? From top to bottom. I think you got Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Then I would put probably Justin Fields and then Sam Darnold. Now, again, all free agents, all have different skill sets, all have started in this league, all have had a lot to little success in the league, and also had some struggles in the league, at least 2 of them, right? Aaron Rodgers is one that's very controversial in the Raider Nation right now. Some people will say, I will take Aaron Rodgers in a heartbeat. Some will say, I don't want nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. People speculate, whether, it's his attitude, his me-type personality. They think that he's washed up. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is just probably 3 or 4 years older than Stafford, if we're willing to go that route. I would base it off what he wants to get paid this year, since he's still getting money from the Jets. No compensation. You bring him in. He gets us over that hump. This is something that you could really tag team up, right? You could literally take this and then go get Howard in the draft, and then you sit Howard for a year, maybe 2 years. And, at some point you got to force Rodgers out, but I think it would be a great bridge quarterback. I understand some of the people's concerns. I understand the complaints, but compared to what we have now, this guy upgrades us. He gives us a chance to compete in this division, and I think we'd be foolish not to take a look at it. So I have Aaron Rodgers number 1. Excuse me. I'm getting dry mouth. I didn't bring the water out here either. All right, number 2 on that list is Russell Wilson. Now this is one I only have him at number 2 because of his background. It has nothing to do about him and Pete Carroll's position right now or their past history. I'm not buying into the whole Pete Carroll and you always have to put a player with a guy because he played with him before and he has success before. That's not the reason I'm saying it. Russell Wilson showed last year that he could still throw the ball, that he could still be competitive in this league. And even though that he faded too at the end of the season, he could fit into this system as a bridge quarterback. Remember, we're looking strictly in this free agent market right now. We're not looking for the answer. If we're looking for the complete answer, it'll be the next 2 guys that we get to. But this is where I'm at. This is why I got these 2 in the top, 1 and 2, Rodgers, Wilson, because they're just placeholders, right? I want to bring the new guy in. I want to draft a quarterback and start developing a quarterback. Multiple years if we have to, multiple quarterbacks if we have to. I'm tired of not even trying to develop something, take our time, and always have not only a future plan, but a backup to the future plan. We need to start thinking ahead and being proactive when it comes to the quarterback position until we get it absolutely right. And these 2 guys, they fit the mold for me. I don't know what Russell Wilson is going to be asking for this season. I don't know what we're willing to pay. Again, we're willing to sell the farm for Stafford. So, $20 million, $25 million for Russell Wilson is something that may be comparable enough as a placeholder for the future. And so let me know. You guys can use the comment section down below to let me know about those bridge guys. Now, going a step further and talking about the next 2, I got Fields and Darnold. I got Fields ahead of Darnold simply because of Chip Kelly. If we're going to make this type of move, I would look at Fields being that guy. But I don't really necessarily say just because we go and pick up Fields in free agency that we make him our answer and we act like we don't have to address the quarterback position. I still would sign him with the understanding that you're going to compete for your job. And then I would pair him up. You could still get a Howard in here because I think that is a good fit for Kelly if we want to play that card. But I think that also opens the door for Milroe to come in here. We draft a guy like Milroe, who I heard had really nailed his interviews and shows that he not only has the physical ability, but the mental ability. And I think that could play huge for him to the next level. Being smart and being physical, those are 2 boxes checked. We already know that he needs to work on his accuracy. But, with Tom Brady in the building too, and Chip Kelly being able to work with him and shortening the field and all that, this could be huge for a guy like Milroe. And you team him up with a guy like Justin Fields, man, that's a 1-2 punch. Let him compete it out. You could give Milroe a year to develop too. And I don't know. I kind of like that idea. That's why I have him number 3. Darnold, again, I'm not big on Darnold's athletic ability, but he showed last year that he still can sling the rock. He had a struggling start, Jets guy, right? And then I think he even backed up Stafford in the Rams for a year before getting an opportunity in Minnesota. I also know that he worked with Gruden. I think he worked with Gruden as well. And Gruden was helping with his mechanics when he was in San Francisco. So he's been a few different spots and developed his game to the point where he had that opportunity in Minnesota and he made the best of it. But for what his price tag is, I don't know if I'm sold on him being the future. And I don't think we need to pay that type of money for a guy his age to be a bridge quarterback. I'm going to get into what I personally wouldn't mind doing here in a second, but I don't know. That just seems like it would be a lot of money. 30 million plus for a Sam Darnold to be a bridge guy. If you're sold that you're going to make this guy the next man, right? Like what he showed last year, Chip Kelly's going to take that to another level and sustain it. I mean, again, there's a reason why these guys get paid the big bucks. We'll get into that here in a second as well. But I'm just not buying into that. So, but if we're going to go that route, I don't even see that happening, but that's the way that I would rank it. Rodgers, Wilson, Fields, and then Darnold. That's where I got it ranked right now. All right. Now we look strictly at the draft. And it gets a little complicated, especially with that number 6 pick, right? I don't necessarily have 4 quarterbacks on my list, although I could definitely come up with 4 that we could get in the draft, right? But I'm really focused on that 6th overall pick, and it just seems like the Raiders are trying to stay away from that. It doesn't seem like they're trying to put themselves in that being their only situation that they're going to run with, right? Is taking a quarterback there. Because like I said, this is something that they would expect. Most quarterbacks drafted that early expect to start. If you go Shador, which is the highly talked about quarterback ever since before the season ended, remember we were trying to tank for Shador, or at least everybody wanted us to tank, which I'm not even going to get into that drama. I don't believe in tanking. I don't only believe it's a real thing. But if you're going to tank for Shador, why is Shador off the list now? My only problem with Shador, I think he's great. And I think he has the potential, especially with a Chip Kelly. I think Chip can take him to the next level. My problem with Shador is he's going to be a guy that expects to start. And if we go out and we draft somebody that we expect, pick up somebody in free agency to be that bridge quarterback and then draft Shador in the 6th, is Dion going to cause a problem? Is Shador going to cause a problem? Can they humble themselves? Can Tom Brady talk to them and get them to understand that, hey, we're willing to pick him at 6, but we're not projecting him to start? I mean, if he comes in and shows us something, why wouldn't you? But otherwise, we plan on letting him sit behind Aaron Rodgers, so to speak, or a Russell Wilson to kind of let him show the ropes of the NFL. I don't know if I really see that happening, and I really just want to try to avoid drama as much as possible. I mean, we are the Raiders. It's to be expected, but if we can avoid it, then I would definitely suggest avoiding it. All right. Then Cam Ward would be the other guy. I think Cam Ward, out of both of them, could really take what Chip is used to doing. Now, Chip's talking about being able to design any type of offense to fit the quarterback. And Tom Brady trusted that enough that he was going to get Stafford and have Chip Kelly work with Stafford. So, I mean, the team seems to be on board with that, right? But, man, if you got him a guy like Cam Ward and let him do what he does best with this RPO stuff and mixing the short routes and the running game, man, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I'm intrigued by that. But again, to get Cam Ward, it means we got to give up more compensation to jump up in the draft. And again, how are they really viewing this? How can we utilize these picks to build the best team possible and to do it quickly? And at this point, if you haven't focused in on one of these free agent quarterbacks, even the ones that we talked about, compensation for that are already backups on other teams and not creating that type of competition, then I don't know what other option you got, but to try to get a Cam or a Shador, and then you have them compete with AOC. I mean, athletic ability alone, I think these guys could beat AOC. I mean, and it's not that it's going to be easy, because I know there's a lot of people still pounding the table that think AOC can be the guy. And I just don't see it. There's more than just him not being able to move around the pocket smoothly. There's that extra level it factor that both Cam and Shador has shown in college. It's that special it factor you're looking for. And as competitive as AOC is, as he hangs in there, he's tough, he's gritty. I like that. There's just that one. It's that one thing that's missing. That just one thing that sparkle that I don't see. And I'm not here for it, man. I'm not here for it. So you get Shador, you get Cam. I think they win that job. I think they win that job based off athletic ability and the running game in particular, hands down. You're not going to be threatening anybody, okay, with Aiden O'Connell running an RPO. You're just not threatening anybody. And I want to talk about Chip Kelly's offense and something that's been talked about the running game as well, but we could do that in another video when we talk running backs. But those are your first two options. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Sam Howard, right? Because he was with Chip Kelly at Ohio State. They won a national championship. I mean, that has to be intriguing. The guy showed that he could throw the football. He showed that he could understand what Chip is trying to develop. He developed in it with himself, but I don't think we have to be sold on that. There's Melrose, there's Jackson Dart, there's Dylan Gabriel. There's a lot of options there. And I'm at the point now where if we're going to go young, and that's what we're kind of forced into, it's obvious that that's not what the Raiders want. I mean, it's obvious, guys. So I really think that they make another run on one of these veteran quarterbacks that we talked about, or even maybe giving up some compensation to try to get one of these other guys that have been backing somebody up for a year or more. Because the Raiders are not showing to me that they're willing to go in there with what we got in a rookie. I think they want someone else there. But in the case that we fall short on all these other options, which is possible because they cannot control that narrative unless you probably overcompensate. And I don't think that we're there. I don't think we have to do that. I'm thinking double down on quarterback. I'm thinking if you have to, if you get Shador or you get Cam, maybe not. But if you don't take that option there, then I would try to double in the back end, try to find some young talent, create some competition, and hope that Chip can make something out of something, right? Like, I don't know what else to say. I don't know if you double up on the third. That might be a little crazy, but I think we're at a point in time where quarterback is an absolute necessity. And if it takes 2 or 3 years of drafting quarterbacks and really rotating through this and really trying to find that guy, then that's where I think we're at. We need a quarterback. Quarterback may not be the answer to the problems that we've been having, because it's coaching, it's management, it's all that. I get it. But man, a good quarterback could take you a long ways. So I just think that they have to go all in on quarterback. Pick one, right? We went through it today. Compensation, people that are already backing up other quarterbacks, contracts with other teams. We looked at 4 quarterbacks in free agency. We just ran the gauntlet on what they could potentially do in the draft. By not getting Shador or Cam, that opens the door for you to kind of trade, get more compensation for more picks, and then maybe get a running back like a Genti later. I wouldn't do it with the 6th overall pick, or Mario Hampton. You could drop back far enough to get him late first round, and then address your quarterback and have some other draft picks to find linemen and linebackers or whatever you want to do. The Raiders have a lot of options, but we're talking quarterback. Now, I want to end this video on this one last note, okay? Regardless of what anybody thinks or anybody says, this is a decision that's going to be made, especially when we're talking quarterback, but this can be used across the board to everything we're about to do. It's going to be made by Spytech, by Pete Carroll, by Chip Kelly, by Patrick Graham, and most importantly, Tom Brady. It's already been reported even before this team was assembled that Tom Brady was going to be heavily involved in finding our next quarterback. I believe it starts there. So regardless of what we think, regardless of what we want, regardless of what we think the Raiders should do, look, man, how I just got a notification today that this was my 10th year on YouTube. Now, I haven't been here the full 10 years, and I've been off and on. I get it. But if there's anything that I've learned, right, this is fun, man. And there's so much talent in the Raider Nation to be able to look at film, break it down. And there's nothing wrong with sitting here speculating, talking about what you want, what you think they should do, how this would work. but there's so many moving pieces. There's financials, there's compensations, there's, team philosophy and attitudes. And there's a reason why these guys get paid lots of money. Some make millions, some make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to do scouting, to do the homework, to watch tape, to put together draft boards, to look at money and salary cap and how it's going to not only look this year, but they're also looking ahead. They're looking for advanced years and how that could affect their cap. They're trying to estimate and guesstimate all of this stuff to make a team fit and be sustainable. At least the good ones do. And then every once in a while, you find yourself at a point where you just go all in. You don't care because you know your window's closing. You may have to blow the team up and start again. So you try to make a run at a championship. We've seen that 1,000 times. But at the end of the day, we can't get so caught up in our own wishes and our own opinions that we get our hopes up and keep getting let down. I saw a lot of that today when it came to Stafford, and everybody wants to pick on Brady and talk crap about Brady. Look, man, this guy ain't 0 for 2, dude. This guy has put together a great staff. The draft has not happened. Free agency is not over. Stafford wasn't the say-all, end-all. Ben Johnson wasn't the say-all, end-all. We still have an opportunity to start from ground zero and start working our way back up. That's where we have to be right now. It doesn't mean we're going to bounce back this year, and it doesn't mean we're going to be in the gutter. We just means that this is a new, fresh season. Let's take it one call at a time. And these guys have the final say. These guys have been doing it for years. Our staff is so experienced that we really don't have to sit here and overthink whether or not they should. The only person that you could put that pressure on is maybe Spytek and Brady. Brady new to ownership. Spytek new to being the main guy, the main GM. But they're surrounded by a bunch of wisdom, a bunch of guys that have been proven and done it. They've worked with the greats. I mean, even if you look at Patrick Graham, right? He's worked under Bill Belichick. He's been on those defenses that did really well. He's had opportunity. This defense has shined at times. Last year was supposed to be Patrick Graham's breakout year as a defensive coordinator, and he got the injury bug. And we weren't that bad considering we had that injury bug. It could have been a lot worse. The defense still played hard. They played tough. And we get some of these pieces back. There's a lot of opportunity here. Let's let the guys that are paid to make these decisions and also make these mistakes, right? Or maybe they get it right. Let that play out. Let them start having some failures. Let them start learning from their mistakes. And then we start coming in, and then we can get mad or glad or happy after the results start to come in. And that's not until September, October, November, December. That's just my thoughts. I mean, I get it. We're passionate. We want what we want. We think that this is the best, or this is the best, or I don't like that guy. Now we're going to suck. Look, as long as we're saving money and making smart picks, I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Hell, I have to accept it if it's Sam Darnold, even though that would be one of the worst things, I think, personally. But I'm not going to get mad because you know what? Maybe Chip Kelly makes something special out of him. I don't know. You don't know. We're just here to be entertained and hopefully just win, baby. Anyway, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be updated every time I drop one of these videos. Man, thank you for all the years of support. I really love you guys. I'm on a mission. We'll talk about that later. I made this video long, so I don't want to keep talking. But man, until next time, stay Raider strong. Night out.